Good evening, everybody. This is Bridge Sky. You are listening to K.I.S.S Recovery 101. Welcome to the show. I have a great excitement for my guest, first off. And just the show tonight, there's a whole lot of things that we could go into. But I definitely want to focus on, I have touched on the 10 fundamental components of recovery before, but I really want to dig into what self-direction is, what individualized and person-centered actually means, that pathway, and then empowerment. And what better guest to have than a woman I find very empowered, very powerful. Every time she shows up anywhere, speaks her mind. She speaks her mind freely, and I love that about her. So my guest, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself. So go ahead, give your name, share a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
All right. Hi, Bridge. Thank you for having me. I'm Morgan Anderson. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from the Anoka County area. And I know Bridge from recovery. We've met here and there a few times.
Randomly.
Yeah, randomly. Kind of just when it was meant to happen.
And that's what's fantastic is I feel like, okay, so we're going to have to talk about how we just keep bumping into each other's lives. So I think it was meant to be. So I met Morgan, at Blaine, going to the candlelight meeting Saturday evenings. And she was only there a couple times, but each time, like, she was that strong voice. She definitely was very authentic and open about her, her experiences, where she was at, what she was, and that's the kind of person that I definitely like tune into right away because I know she's not fake. She's not just trying to put out a show. There's a lot of people that just vent and dump. However, Morgan, I found, would share, and every time I'd walk away like, aha, oh, I liked what she said there. There's a kind of connection. So I remember the last meeting that we were at there a while ago, you had openly said that you were going away to jail. And I thought, what? And that immediately set off a whole bunch of thoughts like, what the F would I do? How is she so calm about this? And what does that even mean? So do you want to kind of just share a little bit about that point in your life, kind of maybe what led up to that, how the hell you got ready for that, and maybe what that whole experience was like, if you don't mind.
Of course. So I kind of had a lot of time to prepare for that. It was like I had gotten into an abusive relationship and it ended tragically, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And it ended in a court case for the both of us. And so dealing with my court case, in the end, ultimately I had to serve 36 days. And it was kind of for like a year, just kind of sitting over my head. Like I knew at some point I had to serve this time, but they never had given me a date. And so I finally just took it into my hands and was like, okay, when am I doing this? Because I don't like just this impending doom of knowing I have to go away. And I set up the date with the guy, and I just kind of mentally prepares myself in that time. I just told him, the only thing that I asked was that I didn't go in before my birthday, because they were being really flexible with me, and I was like, I just would rather not spend my 22nd birthday in jail.
Behind bars?
Right.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
Yeah, and they were like, of course not. And so I went in, I think 5 days after my birthday, and did 36 days in Scott County Jail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you not go mentally, like for me, feeling that restricted? How did you keep yourself in balance, we could say?
That's a good question. So I definitely had like my support group. Like I had my sponsor's phone number. I talked to my mom every day. I would try to make time in my week to make sure that I'm talking to like at least 2 or 3 friends. If they would pick up, I would make sure that I'm calling as many people as possible. I'm a very outgoing person, so it was very easy for me to make friends with people in there. And some of them are still friendships that I have today. I have a friend who was in there with me, and we played cards every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. From the second we got out of room, and then the second we went to bed, like, we were playing cards. And she just celebrated, I think, a year.
Wow.
In recovery. So
Okay.
it's been super cool. But yeah, I just had those connections. I think when I was in jail, I read like 52 books. So it was a lot of reading. Every night before bed, I was doing The Purpose-Driven Life. And I was reading through the big book, and I was kind of just trying to do whatever I could to maintain my peace because I didn't want it to drive me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like took advantage of any opportunity that I could to leave my cell or to do anything that could just get me out of my head for a little while because it was definitely hard.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. So I remember, I'm on social media, just Facebook really, and I saw that you had been out, and I remember, actually we might have been to another meeting where you had openly said that you were out, you had been out for a minute, but then you had a slip.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh, okay, well, I know you got a good sponsor.
Yeah.
I know I saw you still coming to the recovery stuff.
Yeah.
So my thoughts were with you. However, I think, higher power, whatever reasons, for work, we do outreach. We go to different treatment centers. We like to just talk about what Minnesota Recovery Connection offers, And I sit down and there you are
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to that point. I remember you touched my soul because you said, you told everybody, like, hey, Bridge had written me this letter and I still have it. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I did. I still have all the letters that anybody wrote me.
Yeah. And so that was touching. And that was like awesome to see that you were, doing your thing back in treatment. Which Grace, I love them. That's why I actually set up that outreach there because I wanted it to branch out. We're mostly based in the city, but like we can go anywhere.
Right, that's cool.
So what got you at that point in your life? I believe you said you did reveal that you were pregnant.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that point in your life. You were pregnant. Mm-hmm. You were in treatment. Where was your head at then? Where were you at in recovery then?
Everywhere. So I found out that I was pregnant. It was just freshly over 2 months clean this time around. And I was going to treatment. And so I had gotten sent to treatment from my probation officer because I was stupid and I do what addicts do. And we post all about our using. And I had posted a video on TikTok and I said, I'm wasted and blah, blah, blah. And she saw it and she's like, all right. Enough's enough. Like, I know you're messing around. Let's do what you need to do. And I tried inpatient treatment and like lost my mind. Mm-hmm. That was way too much structure for me, but at the same time not enough. Mm-hmm. I just felt like it wasn't realistically where I could be at the time to really function in recovery. I needed to have like a balance of my life in the real world and then also that treatment. And so we had discussed and decided that outpatient was the best option for me, so that I could still be with my dog and go to work and do whatever it is that I needed to do. And while I was there, I found out that I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, great. Well, it is what it is, I guess. Mm-hmm.
And so, okay. And now, so here we sit today. And I thought that was beautiful, and I do follow up on some people's on Facebook. There's just people like you that are just interesting to me, you're, but yeah, I reached out to you because recently hit the news, as we all know, some legal court crap stuff happened, and some basic human rights have been taken away from me, from you, from my daughter, from all women. And again, what I love about you is that you are loud and proud and very you just come off as very confident. When you feel right about something, you're not shy.
No.
And I love that.
I am very opinionated.
Yes. And I love that. And that's, I feel like for me in recovery, that was something I never really had, And so I think that's why I'm always attracted to it. Like I'm definitely I'm way more like confident and empowered within myself, but it's still not something that I just immediately go to.
Right.
So I love and respect women, especially with strong voices. It helps that we have the same opinion on that concept.
Right.
But it's out there. And so I feel like that's kind of, why I wanted to bring you on, because that empowering thing is one thing I myself lacked a lot, especially with my addictions, my substance use. I know that made me feel very powerless, no matter what kind of life I was portraying, the great job, the house, the kids, portray that I had it all together, but inside it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah.
So I couldn't feel like I could be authentically loud or proud about anything.
Right.
So I love the fact that you are open. You are an open book. Mm-hmm. And that's so endearing, because there's so many females, especially that feel like they have to hide. That was me. Feel like I had to hide a lot of things. So when I see someone like you openly share, I remember that would make me feel like maybe I can share. Maybe I can be open, you're walking hope for a lot of women, just so you know that.
That's what I aspire.
And you're 23.
Yeah. I'm very young. I'm very young. I was just talking about this last night. I feel like I have a very old soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like a very old soul. And people think that I'm like being dramatic, but I'm like, I feel like there's not many experiences in life that I haven't been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after my abusive relationship, just feeling so alone in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody that I knew or nobody had spoken out that they had been through it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where I really found my voice and found out, like, if you go through something, there's other people who go through it too, and you should talk about it.
Yes.
So that it becomes more normalized and more accepted to be like discussed about.
Yes.
And then ever since then, I kind of just
power on.
Snowballed, and now I just am open about everything and anything.
And then it's wonderful because it allows for those conversations.
Yeah.
You're probably planting seeds and opening minds all over the place.
Yeah.
That don't even realize it. And that's just because in your heart, that's what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's genuine. And I love it.
Yeah.
So to keep with the tonight. So if you're new to listening to the show, let's just go over it. So it's about an hour. I'm the boss, though. So if it goes a little later, which it tends to a little bit sometimes, that's okay.
Right.
But I do have alarms to remind me. So this is a live show. Oh, looks like there's a couple things. So people can interact. They can ask questions. Oh, looks like Facebook user says, "Hey, love." Another Megan says, "Hi, Morgan." And Jasper says, "Hi, Morgan." Oh, there's another one. Oh, Jasper says, "She's kind of quiet." Oh, can you get more into the mic? Yep, so you got to get right up on it. See how I'm on it like this?
Yes, I can make sure that I'm doing that.
And she's got a belly with
Yeah.
that baby, so it's a little hard. But yes, so great. See, you already got a lot of support. See, there's a lot of I know for sure, people that just want to be around your positive energy and aura. And even when it's not maybe necessarily a positive topic, you still give this great energy.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're going to jump into that clip.
Okay.
Because I listen to a lot of, let me finish. Sorry, I have ADHD, so okay, jumping all over the place. So we're going to listen to this clip, and then we're going to talk back and forth a little bit about that and how it kind of correlates with these components that I'm bringing up. But this show is K.I.S.S. Recovery 101. And Recovery 101 means just the basics of recovery, of whatever that looks like to you. For me, one path does not work for me. I needed multiple paths. I had lots of things going on. And so being able now in my life to be able to explore those different paths and just continue learning has helped me a lot. And so I wanted to have this podcast to let everybody know what's out there, and what works for someone else, might not work for you, or it might. You might not even tried it. And then we'll get our first alarm, and that's just to remind us to interact, which we're doing pretty well. And then the next alarm, we're going to run into the hot seat.
Okay.
So the hot seat is more deeper questions, 3 hot and heavy questions that are deeper. They're not going to be your over drinking some coffee questions, but they're meant to be questions that something you say, someone listening might feel like, oh yeah, I connect with that. Me too. And then the last segment is totally just for fun, but literally through the week, when I'm on my downtime and I just want to, be mush, I like to screenshot my favorite memes because I just think memes can be very clever and hilarious and entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
So live Facebook memes, which means live, I'm going to flash you my favorite memes. The listeners will actually be able to see them, and we're just going to talk about them. Cool. And like Facebook, you're going to like them, laugh out loud. You can comment if you want, or you just skip right on over it.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's 8:16. Let's get to the clip. I'm only going to play 2 minutes of it. So this is Sally, as she is my tech assistant.
Power on.
She hooks me up with the power
Bluetooth pairing.
and the Bluetooth.
Incredible.
Thanks, Sally.
Incredible.
This is an expensive studio here, as you can tell.
Bluetooth connected.
Okay, so this is a YouTube clip. It's called Oprah Winfrey's Revealed This Life Hack. And it's on the Motivation Bay. So after the show, I will post the actual direct link. We're just going to play a couple minutes. But she touches on perfectly it correlated with me and what I believe empowers me. Here we go.
Our connection with others can only be as deep as our connection with ourselves. And there perhaps is no time in recent memory when it's more necessary to actually cultivate empathy and connection in order to make sense of the profound changes that we're all undergoing. Everywhere we turn, we can't grapple with the many urgent issues facing us and facing our planet without understanding ourselves first. And in Atlas of the Heart, Brene and her team of researchers and therapists and educators and others have so richly explored how to cultivate an emotional vocabulary. Like, we need the words, the language, the expressions that help us process and identify what it is we're feeling and what is happening to us, and to be able to communicate that to other people. And what they've discovered is that without that, we won't find the solid ground within us that gives us the courage and the confidence to embrace love, to embrace happiness and our own vulnerability, to face and transcend our pains, or to navigate the great uncertainty that is the human condition. So in Brene's words, she says, with an adventurous heart and the right maps, we can travel anywhere and never fear losing ourselves, even when we don't know where we are. I just love that. The solid ground, the anchor we're searching for, is connection, and it is within each of us. But to forge meaningful connections with others, again, we have to first connect with ourselves. And I know we're doing a lot of connecting this week with family and friends. We have to establish a common understanding of the language of emotions and human experience in order to do that. So as you're trying to figure out, what do I do? How should I do it? First of all, I will say this, that when you don't know what to do, my girls have heard this over 100 times. When you don't know what to do, you do nothing. You get still until you do know. Because when you have to ask everybody else, should I do this, should I? And that's whether it's buying a pair of shoes or going with a guy, buying a house, taking a job, should I? When you have to ask everybody else, it means you don't really know the answer fully yourself. So you get still, be still, and know the answer will come. So here.
Woo! There's a lot in that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to speak first on anything you heard in that clip that maybe stood out to you?
For sure. First, I'm going to say Oprah is an incredible woman.
Right.
And her power and her voice is so inspiring. Second, Brene Brown, my biggest crush in the entire world, my biggest mental health or therapy crush in the entire world is Brene Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Every word out of her mouth, I trip over it. I'm like, yes, queen. Me and my therapist every week discuss Brene Brown, how much we love her.
Fans.
Have you ever watched the documentary of
oh, yeah.
The Power of Vulnerability?
Yes.
Yep.
That's just our first alarm.
Perfect.
We're doing great. Keep going.
Yes.
Okay.
Literally the first words out of her head or out of her mouth in that video, our connection with others can only be as deep as our connection with ourselves.
Yes.
Took me.
Yes.
Definitely something that I can relate to. Definitely something that I've been recognizing the past year,
Mm-hmm.
and that's thanks to therapy and learning about that.
I absolutely love that you said that. And I see, this is great minds think alike. So for me, when she said that exact thing, our connection with others can only be as deep as our connection with ourselves. It was this aha thing. And it took me back into, so I spin recovery on everything that I hear. I'm like, oh, this can be totally intertwined with recovery.
Oh, yeah.
And on a deeper level. And the deeper level for me was because of my disease, because I was so lost in hiding from myself and never feeling emotions, to even get to that point where I could even start to connect with myself was unfeasible. I needed to heal first. I needed to start building at least some kind of trust and connections with people in the rooms before I could really take a deep, hard look at myself. It was too painful.
Yeah, absolutely. And people really teach you how to become vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
in recovery, because that wasn't anything that I knew.
Right.
Like, I remember before I ever came into recovery, my therapist was like, you need to open up to your people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had all these secrets that I just couldn't talk about because I didn't trust anybody.
Right.
And nobody would understand. And then I came into recovery, and they're like, part of getting clean and getting sober and staying that way is the connections that you make.
Mm-hmm.
And the friends that you make and the vulnerability that you share. And I was like, you guys are losers. What do you mean vulnerability?
cry.
Like, I don't want anybody near me. I have
Mhm.
my secrets, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first time I did my 4-step,
Mm-hmm.
like, it took up until my 4-step for me to really become vulnerable with my sponsor.
Yeah.
And just the way that she connected with me on so many levels was like, I want to be vulnerable with everybody.
Yeah, no,
Literally
yeah.
anybody that I know now. I'm like, tell me everything about you. I'll tell you anything you need to know about me.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible when you go from being just completely alone and not wanting anybody around you to being comfortable and willing to open up to whoever is around.
Yes.
It's incredible.
And that was the power for me. That's what the steps give me. This opportunity to constantly self-reflect, to constantly look at myself and really see what's going on. The awareness piece.
Yeah.
You know, like, I wish that people everybody could have the 12 steps, you know, because I see
gosh.
people, normies out there, and they got all this stuff going on. And if they had a program like this, a step-by-step program with all these people supporting you, like, their life would be a whole lot better.
I say it to everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. I'm like, my mom, I'm like, I wish you could work the 12 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not an addict, but I wish you could, because it would change you in so many ways. Like, I feel so deeply with my heart that you should not have to be an addict to work the steps.
100%.
Like, you can make them into a way that fits your life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you could throw any word in there.
Absolutely.
So talking about those components, so it says, so this is great website, NAMI. So, you know, when I say that I needed multiple paths, is because for me, I had a lot of co-occurring things going on, and a big piece of that was it just marries so well with the disease of addiction, but I had a lot of mental wellness issues going on. You know, past things that happened before I even found drugs or alcohol. But then you add drugs or alcohol, well, of course, I'm not going to be well for a while.
Right.
But I love that you already talked about that, you know, seeing a therapist, like, definitely a therapist. And for me, I had to take it to that next level of having a constructive therapist in DBT allowed me to have this, again, I need a program. I need a laid out set. I need evidence-based things that show that this is why it works. This is how it works. And these are things that skills that I could try and use. And so with the empowerment piece, you know, they say that that component, it works because it has the authority to participate in all decisions. The person, you, I, whoever, has the authority to participate in all our decisions that affect our lives. And we are educated and supported in that process. So when you look at the individualized and person-centered pathway to recovery-based, that's based on, like, a person's individual unique strengths as well as our needs, preferences, experience, and cultural background. Because every single person has a different story. Came from different backgrounds. have gone through different things, perceive and interpret different things, right? So what it says is, what I love about this is it breaks it down into two different groups. So person-centered care means working together with the individual to plan their care and support to meet an individual's unique needs. And this cuts down the risk of negative, unfair, or harmful treatment and neglect. So when you take this list, so when you take person-centered, the likelihood of abuse occurring is reduced by ensuring that the main focus of the work is that the person has his or own individual strengths and needs, okay? But then on the next column, it says, abuse may occur as the person is out of the picture or others are in control. So person-centered will then give that person's dignity, the person's dignity is infringed and they are not respected or consulted. So I don't want to keep reading. The point I think that I've found is, well, you probably know too, when you're following court stuff, okay, you don't have much choice, okay? And you don't have, especially treatments, okay? I went to multiple treatments.
Oh, yeah.
That is not individualized or empowering at all. It is all, I felt like it's control.
Yeah.
They're like, this is how you're going to do it. This is what you're going to do that's going to work for you. And no, I'm sorry. A lot of that did not work for me. In fact, it pushed me way far away and just made me feel more alone.
Oh yeah, and then you talk about having a voice and going through all that too. Like treatment center counselors did not like me.
Oh, I bet.
They
Yes.
did not like me because I'm very opinionated, and if
Insubordinate.
I don't agree with you, yeah, exactly.
That's what they said on my file.
Exactly. And if I didn't like agree with something, or you were trying to like shove something down my throat, you're gonna hear it, and you're gonna hear exactly why you're wrong and exactly why that doesn't work for me, and like I will give you constructive criticism. Like, I don't care that you've been in this business for 39 years.
Yeah.
You're doing
got all
it
these
incorrectly.
degrees.
You are not helping me right now. And you are not helping anybody in this room by doing this as what works for you or what, quote unquote, works for everybody, because there's not a one size fits all for recovery. Like, everybody has a different background. We've already talked about all of this. Everybody needs something different. And that's the hardest part, was accepting and, like, having to put two and two together of like, yes, this doesn't work for me, but we have to like take the words that they're telling me and make them into a way that it can work for me.
Right.
Because otherwise I'm just fighting this and I'm not gonna benefit from it. Once like I could change my perspective around and be like, okay, this whole treatment center as a group is not going to be personalized for me. So how can I personalize it for myself in a way that I'm going to be able to apply these principles to my life? Because that was my problem.
Right.
Was like, I know so much about recovery. I've been in and out of the rooms for 2 years. Like, I have picked up so many pieces. I just couldn't apply them to my life. And so then I went to these treatment centers and they were like, this works and this works. And I'm like, it doesn't. I tried it. What do you mean it works? It doesn't work for me. And then to have to like figure that out for myself was also very empowering too. And like applying that to myself. Right. And like having to ask for help with that too. Because that was a hard thing for me. Right. Was asking for help.
Oh yeah. It was like, it would go both ways. Like, I didn't want to ask for help because I didn't want to be a burden to anyone else. I'm so used to just doing everything by myself. Like, I remember times thinking I should ask for help, but no, this is my problem. I brought this on myself. I need to handle it myself. Or on the other side, if I'm asking for help, that means I'm weak. That means, I'm giving up. That means, so yes, it was a constant struggle. And so again, like with someone like you, and now finally someone like me that openly talks about those struggles and openly talks about our experiences, it makes it for that newcomer or someone just even thinking about recovery to be like, okay, so I'm not this. I used to think that I was like this very effed up person that is nobody's going to be able to fix me. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what I needed, was to really get to know me. So the self-direction part is kind of cool too, because it talks about so with self-directed recovery, we start to own our own healing process. And this is kind of what you're talking, aligned with what you're saying, is that we develop a greater responsibility for ourselves and are able to start taking more accountability. We can have greater results because we're talking We're taking our treatment into our own hands, reclaiming our power, and directing the course to our own recovery. And that's a beautiful thing. So it's really hard when you're forced to get recovery. You know, like they say, until you really want to make that choice yourself, for me, 17 years, it wasn't for myself.
Yeah.
It was to save my marriage. It was to save my job. It was to keep the kids. And at the end of the day, you know, I could do all these things, but I didn't really mean them. I knew it in the back of my mind. And I didn't know how to really feel genuine with it. And I feel now looking back, a lot of it was, I'm a rebellious person by nature. Now I like to say resilient. Morgan, you're a very resilient, beautiful person.
Thank
That's
you.
what I love about you.
So are you.
It's powerful. But I still, immediate first thought, when someone tells me I can't do something, that I'm going to do it now. Times 10.
Bet.
Yeah.
I can't do something?
Yeah.
I'll show you me doing it.
Uh-huh. Or somebody tells me, oh, you need to go do this. Morgan, this is how messed up I still am. Like, my boss is like, I'm really worried about you. I think you need to do more self-care. Immediately, I'm like, I don't need no self-care. In fact, I'm going to pick up more hours in my second job.
Yes.
You know? And then I have to
That's
back up.
exactly how I am.
Don't tell me what I need. But I realize that's just this defense mechanism, this wall that I used to have. It's still rooted in me. I mean, I have many years, but it's this protection for my inner child. It's this self-defense thing that I have that, like I said, I need to reflect on myself daily to bring that awareness in to see why I'm doing the things that are just rooted in me.
And it's crazy when it starts to become normalized
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I did that because of X, Y, and Z. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who are you and why are you telling me why I'm doing these things and how do you know these things?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to myself. Like, my brain is recognizing either unhealthy or toxic or behaviors that I use trying to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm trying to call myself out and trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I remember the first time that it happened, and like I was like, oh, that's not a healthy behavior, and like here's why. I was just like, who am I and why am I solving my own problems?
Mhm.
How did this just happen?
And I remember in one of the meetings, it was like a Saturday morning meeting, you shared, you're like, and we had breakfast after that.
Yeah.
We have hung out. It's
Yeah.
it's like it's a blur, but we went to breakfast after. I remember you said, my first thought is, I'm going to do this. And then my second thought is, I'm going to do this. So by my third thought, yeah, I'm going to pick up and call someone. I'm going to call my
Yeah.
sponsor, or I'm going to call whoever, the sister I trust or whatever. And that is the truth. Still with me today. My first thought, I know, is my inner mean girl. She's a bitch. But my second thought is, I know that one of the biggest things that I struggle with is I blame myself. I always want to blame myself. Even if it's clear as day, somebody else did me wrong. It can be a good thing in the sense of like reflection, but when I'm immediately hurt
Yeah.
or I feel like I failed, that is a trigger. That was a trigger for me to go back and use. That was a trigger for me to go escape, to numb, and to not process what really happened.
Oh yeah.
So like you said, Brene Brown, like she definitely helped me understand the difference between.
Power on.
Oh, thanks, Sally. The difference between sympathy and empathy, because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of our loved ones, or even people in recovery, they're not in any kind of special program or whatever, but they can sympathize. And Brene says sympathy is understanding, someone's situation just from your own perspective and your own lens. And that's what, people outside of recovery, that's just all they're capable of. It's okay. But empathy is putting yourself in that person's understanding perspective and actually seeing through their eyes.
Last week,
Yeah.
I watched this Brene video about sympathy versus empathy, and it's like sympathy. Well, first it described empathy as like, okay, you fell into this hole, you have no way of getting out,
Yes.
and being an empathetic person is like, okay, let me get in this hole with you because I understand how it is.
That's just a second alarm. Keep going.
And like, it sucks and it hurts and I understand
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And sympathy is like, wow, man, standing up like on the outside of that hole
Yeah.
and like just looking in and being like, wow, man, looks really dark in there.
Yeah. Sucks.
Good luck.
Okay.
Like,
Here's a
sucks.
sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically like that. And I remember I watched it and I was like, oh.
Spot
And,
on.
you know, we had watched that because last week we had only spent time talking about the overturning
Mm.
and how I was struggling to be even civil with any man in my life.
Mm.
I just had such a resentment. And she's like, I feel like it's because they can't empathize.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. No matter how much they want to, they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she showed me that video and I was like, damn, Renee, you did it again.
And that's the beauty of it, because I think if you really, like I said, I like to simplify things.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to simplify things, empathy is sitting back and just listening without judgment. I mean, we're human. That's just a natural judgment. But to really just take yourself out of it, listen to a person, and really think, wow, if I was in their place, exactly, because you will never be able to feel what they feel, right? This is not possible.
Right.
But to be able to just take a moment and be in it with them. And there's so many people that get that confused. I actually got into a conflict recently with a quote unquote friend. And she was like, I have all the empathy for you. And I said, no, you don't.
Right.
You have sympathy, because I see that you have sympathy for everybody else. I see your sympathies. I don't want your sympathies. What you have is sympathy. I said, this was a little bit maybe extra step, but I just wanted to point out to her that you can't have empathy for anyone until you have empathy for yourself. You know, I hoped that maybe that might have planted a seed, because I think that's why I, for so long, continued that friendship, seeing a lot of things that were red flags, and that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I could see that you lash out at a lot of people. But I knew, because I would listen, I knew what was going on. I know she had a lot of stuff. I had a lot of empathy for her, because I know how that felt, and she had all these struggles. But at the end of the day, you know, what is it? Fool me once, it's your fault. Fool me twice. Well, fool me twice. She lashed out at me, and it hurt, because I felt like, here I am. There's this person who's trying to be, you know, empathize with you. And you just throw it in my face. So I actually offered to take her through the steps. This is kind of funny. She's anti. But anyway, but I left it where it was at. And that's it. Fool me twice. That's my fault. I'm going to back up. I'm going to take a pause. You know, it's not that I'm going to write her off. It's not that I'm going to be disrespectful around her, or, you don't be. But I'm going to take a pause in that, because that hurt a lot. That it was red flag that first time she lashed out at me. So I think growing now where I'm at in my recovery, I'm finally at that point where I have so much empathy for myself, and setting those boundaries and now sticking to them. You know, she's being nice to me again, but we ain't going on no smoke breaks together no more.
Right.
Like, I ain't doing any extra whatever.
Right.
So
And it's one thing to, like, okay, you've seen that red flag, and it's one thing to be aware of that and know of that, and then it's another to forget.
oh yeah,
It's like when they say forgive and forget, it's like, I will forgive and I will move on, but I'm not going to forget. That it will always be something that is in the back of my mind until, like,
It has
it's
to be.
proven
yeah,
that things have changed.
right. And that's healthy for both of you,
Yeah.
because otherwise.
Bluetooth connected.
Thanks, Sally. So as I just want to remind us, there we got the alarm for the hot seat. Are you ready? You ready for the hot seat?
Yeah.
Okay. So the fun part of my podcast is I'm trying to make it more stimulating to the ears, the listeners.
Okay.
So I like to incorporate. We're gonna give this a try. A sound effect. So I want this hot seat to sound a little more intense. Now every week here, I've been trying it for once. So let's see, Morgan, can you tell me what this sounds like?
Fire.
Yeah.
Fire.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
sounds
found
like a
one.
campfire.
It says fire sound effect.
Perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So, Morgan, it's time for the hot seat.
All right.
Okay. 3 hot and heavy questions. Now I'm going to lead this mic. It's got to get real close to you, okay?
All
Because I
right.
feel like you might be sounding far away. So, 3 questions. And like I said, no judgments. Share what you feel comfortable. But I do encourage you to, well, I don't have to. You're just an open, free person. Here we
Yeah.
go. Question number 1, Morgan. In the darkest times in your life, what gave you hope? Is there anything that comes to mind that maybe you found some kind of hope or light in a maybe bad place in your life?
Knowing that other people had been through it, that I wasn't alone in even the worst situations that I've ever been in, knowing that there was somebody out there who either had been through it or was going to go through the same exact situation and would need a person. And
Who were those people? Did anybody particular?
for me,
Yeah.
one was my Nana. One was my mom, of course. Both of those ladies had been in abusive relationships and never gave up on me. Never once. And maybe they didn't know exactly what I was going through, didn't understand the drug addiction, but the most hurtful and traumatic part was the relationship and losing that person that I had loved so deeply and like not understanding why they could hurt me the way that they did. And just hearing from 2 very inspirational women in my life that they had been through that and they understand and that I didn't deserve that helped me with a lot. And my therapist, like, I will tell my therapist every single time, I love you.
Yeah.
You are such an amazing person in my life, and I really don't. And of course, she always is like, well, you're the one doing all the work. I'm just guiding you. And I'm like, but without your guidance, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the power to use my voice that I have. I wouldn't know the tools of how to get myself through a day. So definitely, to simplify it, connection.
Yeah.
That was what gave me hope.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And I would agree too. Like it was those couple people, at least in the beginning, that just unconditionally loved and supported me.
Yeah.
And I never felt judged, and they never gave up on me.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so that was a like nicer one. This
Okay.
made it more positive. Here, question number 2, Morgan. What would you say is your worst characteristic?
Like, are we talking in recovery terms, right? Like
Whatever
character
comes to your
defect.
mind. No, whatever comes to your mind. What do you think is your worst characteristic?
I can be very judgmental,
Okay.
but it's not only towards everybody. Like it's towards myself too.
Yeah.
I'm just a very critical and judgmental person. Even if I can love you more than anything in the entire world, but then something will happen and I'll be like, ew. Like, why would you do that? Or like, ew. Like, why would you wear that? And that's just my own trauma that has shown up from my family being that way.
Yeah.
And that's hard too, of like trying to break generational trauma of body positivity and body just acceptance.
Yes.
But judgments just in any way probably is the characteristic about myself that I hate the most.
And that takes practice.
Yeah.
I know for me, especially when it comes to males, I didn't have good males in my life and forever.
Yeah.
And so immediately a tone of voice, a certain look, a comment, a joke, right away, I'm judging your ass. Like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
can't be friends. Like, you're just a jerk.
Yeah.
But, I realize now that I mean, it took me a while to branch out of just women meetings. But, I realize not all men are bad. I've got to some great open meetings where there are great guys. And I do realize not all men are evil.
Oh,
Ooh, wow, it's already 8:45. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
That great answer. I love that. And I 100% connect on that because I know that I've read the 4 agreements and they talk about how a lot of things that we put out in the world or anything anyone says to us is not about us. It's about ourselves. It's about them.
Yeah.
It's within yourself.
Yeah.
And anytime I think something judgmental about somebody else, sometimes it takes me a minute. I'm like, why am I so upset about what this person said?
No, seriously.
And it's something that's I find
And it's something
vulnerable
that's-
about myself.
Yeah, and it's something that's so easy for me to acknowledge in other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're literally only saying this because you have a problem with the fact that you can't do this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll have a moment where I'm like, I'm being judgmental and I'm being rude and I can't figure it out. I'm like, what is it? Why am I saying and why am I thinking these things? This is not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, Morgan, the same reason why people do it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Question number 3. Morgan. Be ready. This one might be confusing. What is the biggest lie you tell yourself or the hardest truth to accept? So you could do both. What is the biggest lie that you tell yourself or the hardest truth you need to accept? What comes to mind?
That I'm lovable.
Oh my gosh. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So I don't have a close relationship with my father. He never really came around, and so I've got a lot of trauma stemming from that, which everybody, daddy issues, and I dated every boy, wanted all the male attention, and like strived for it, and I don't know, sometime along the way I just formed this general question that I ask myself is like, who's gonna love me?
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna love me? Like, with how I am, like, I know that this is such a common thing too for people, not even just my age, but to think that nobody's gonna love you until you get to some type of standard, or like, if only I lose weight, then somebody will love me. Or if only I dye my hair. Or if only I get sober. Or if only, and it's like, no. Screw that. Because the right person is going to come along and love you. And the only person that even makes any importance to love you is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's shocking that that's your answer because you're very lovable to me. I love you. Everybody loves you that I know loves you.
I know.
And so, like, you're the second person that has, I asked a similar question, one of my besties, and it's mind-blowing. Did you say these things? And, I have to chime in on this. Guys have big old daddy issues too. Actually, most of them stem, if they have issues, are core because they didn't have strong, good relationships with their dads.
Yep.
I see a day in, a day out.
Yep.
And that's sad to be for anybody. Those parental role models. It's not just females. And like I said, in my past, I've seen a lot of dudes have a lot of issues because they didn't have that good relationship with their dads.
And it's not just daddy issues too, it's mommy issues.
Oh, yes.
It's anything. And you never really understand how much trauma it can cause, or how it really affects your personality, until all of a sudden you start focusing on yourself and trying to figure out why you act the way you act, and why you think the way that you think, and like why your subconscious has these rules basically of life, of like how you view the world and everything like that, until you start to dig deep and you're like, holy crap, all of this stems from my childhood.
Yes. It's called the agreements that we made. We made thousands of agreements. Actually, we didn't make. They were just culturally made in our families, these agreements that we believe that we didn't ever sign up for.
Yeah.
And so the 4 agreements it really talks about how to break those old agreements that aren't even most of them true, and to set 4 new beautiful agreements. And I know for me, Morgan, I'm glad that you're 23 and you're wise. You're about to have a baby. Oh, wait till you feel that love. But I didn't love myself for 39 years.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that it was possible. I remember looking in the mirror and I'm like, I don't even like myself.
Yeah.
How could I even expect anybody to love me? And so it's been a long process, and I guarantee you it would not be possible to be where I'm at today. I do love myself. It's so weird to say, but I do. I fucking love myself. It's great. I'd hang out with me all the time.
Absolutely.
But I couldn't even get to that point till at least a year of, not being clear of substance use at all. Because it took a year for my body and brain to even start to get into balance. But even after, then that next year was to really look inside myself. This is hard work.
Oh yeah.
And what do they always say? It's a simple program, but it ain't easy.
Oh yeah.
This is far from it. But it helps when you have a good, guide or sponsor or someone that you trust.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so now my fun favorite part. You ready?
Yes.
So this is the last segment. It's called Live Facebook Memes. And so the listeners are going to... Oh, wait, I have sound effects. Sorry, I love the sound effects.
That's okay.
The listeners get to see a flash of the memes, so you won't have to describe them. However, I do like you to describe a little bit if they seem very relevant. But you're just like Facebook. You're just going to openly express how you would... Your insight on the meme. And we get to go back and forth.
Okay.
That way I don't have to sit on bed and I'm laughing out loud to myself more. Or I'm getting upset or whatever. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. To myself. I get to share them with people.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a fun little, my daughter helped me find this really cool app. So I just feel like it works if I hit the right one. Okay. Just be careful. It might be scary. It's not mysterious and out there. Okay.
There you go.
Here we go. So I'm going to make sure they're in order with what we... oh, I forgot. Sorry, listeners. This is so the nice thing is with Facebook, they can stay anonymous. So if they don't check the box, so Facebook users, all I see is that you're a Facebook user. So another person says, Facebook user says, "Hey, love, I love you, Bridge. You're amazing." Oh, hey, Chelsea. Oh, I don't know that. Must know a Chelsea. Or Chelsea. I know a Chelsea. 2 Chelseas.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're saying,
Are
hey.
they saying that it is Chelsea, or they're just saying hi to Chelsea?
Saying how, the Facebook users must be interacting with each other.
Oh.
Ah. See, we can't see.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We can't see that side of it. Okay. And see, and that's the love and support. It's so nice when you get that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have these in order. I'm not going to give you my phone because I accidentally mixed them up. But here we go. Go ahead and look at that one. Let's just go ahead and describe maybe what that person looks like. I'm going to get this ready.
The only thing that reminds me of is Leon.
Okay. So go ahead and
Leon or
describe.
Gavin?
It's a little Jack Nicholson looking a little, what did you say? It's a little messed up, maybe?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read that. What does that say?
It says, when you're released from Facebook jail, knowing you haven't been rehabilitated. And it's
Yes!
iconic.
Yes, you're right. Oh, and now I see what you're
Iconic.
saying. Yeah, Leanne and Gavin is known for that.
Yes.
Mostly Gavin. He's been doing well lately.
Yes.
Have you ever been put on Facebook
No.
jail?
I've tried. I've
Uh-huh.
gone to Leon
Uh-huh.
and been like, send me posts that will get me on Facebook jail.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was in Facebook jail when I was 13, back when you could get in Facebook jail from posting too many times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I've never been in Facebook jail.
Yeah.
And like, I strived to it for so long.
That's so
and it
funny.
just never worked.
And that's hilarious because on the opposite, I needed to post something, and I normally don't. But it was very important, and I need to use some certain words.
Yeah.
So I went to Gavin. I'm like, Gavin, so what words do I need to stay away from?
Yeah.
He had pro tips. He's like, so just say this, put this little exclamation point.
Yeah.
That it's not the word. So like, yeah, isn't that funny?
And I don't care.
I forget that we're in the same circle.
I'm so not, like, don't care about anything. I will say what's on my mind. I won't try to hide words. I won't try to do anything because I just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
That's
care.
kind of what Facebook's for.
Right.
Just put that shit out there. Okay, the next one.
When you meet another mom who's also a hot mess, it says, "I like your style."
Like I saw you about to be in
Perfect.
the mom's group.
Perfect.
Power on.
Or even just, I just remember I've been through 3 pregnancies.
Yes.
And I remember every term It's always something different.
Yes.
And I always just felt like a freaking hormonal mess.
Oh my gosh.
So to any mom, any grandma, any woman out there who's been in your shoes, this is going to recognize, like, girl, you beautiful. You're doing great.
Absolutely. It's been so hard to like not gaslight myself
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just like, oh, I'm just crazy. It's just pregnancy hormones. And then I'm like, no, girl, these are valid feelings. Like, your
Yes.
feelings are 100% valid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also crazy how ever since I found out that I was pregnant, so many women came to tell me that they were pregnant.
Oh,
And
wow.
they're like, I saw that you
Oh.
posted it, and like I've always like wanted to talk to you and be friends, and now this is something we can bond over. There was a
Yeah.
girl, well, not was, that sounds bad, but there is a girl that I went to high school with in middle school, and like we used to be really close.
Mm-hmm.
And her due date is a day before mine.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it's super cool.
See, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Especially, yes, first pregnancy is very scary.
Yes, and it's her first pregnancy, and
So,
like so we're
aw.
both experiencing this together. It's
Mhm.
so cool.
That's beautiful.
Yes, and we're both also trying to learn how to like empower ourselves and to stand
Yeah.
up for ourselves.
Yes.
awesome.
Oh, that's like direct support.
Yes.
Okay, read this one. It's just words.
100%. When you replace "why is this happening to me" with "what is this trying to teach me," everything shifts. It is all about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my favorite thing to remind myself is, what is your perspective right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're looking at this the wrong way. Anytime that I know I'm in a bad mood, I'm like, Morgan, switch your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're getting that stinking thinking.
Yes.
So stop.
Yep.
And like try to be constructive about this and productive and figure out like how can I learn from this situation? Even the darkest moment that I will ever go through in life, I try to always learn something.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think similar to it, I just call them, they're challenges. The
Yeah.
challenges that are in my life right now, again, I can overcome, there's something I need to overcome them. There's something I need to learn from them because I know I can see in the future, like I've conquered a lot of things. It will pass and I will have experienced that. And again, it strengthens me, up to this point anyway.
Yes, and that's why I was saying earlier, I feel like I'm such an old soul
Yes.
because
You are.
I learn from my experiences.
Mm-hmm. It's still shocking to me that you are the age that you are.
I know. I
But
hear that all the time.
age is just a number,
Right. Right.
Because at 17 years old, people did not, well, and a lot of it had to do with my childhood. I went through so much shit.
Yeah.
But they never believed that I was 17 at the
Yeah.
capacity that I was at. But I had lived through a lot already at 17.
Yeah.
So, yes. This is funny. This is very fucking relevant.
Yeah.
What would you say? Go ahead and describe that one. It's the gas tank.
Yeah.
And instead of just the normal lines, there's some money amounts.
Yeah.
So, $10, $20, $30. What does $20 do for your tank right now?
Oh God,
Morgan.
nothing.
This doesn't even give you a quarter of a tank.
I went the other day
Oh my god.
to put $40 in my gas tank,
Uh-huh.
and it hardly even moved.
I know.
I was like, "This is ridiculous."
Yes.
I'm about to start biking. Like,
Yes.
you will catch my pregnant ass on a bike from now on.
No,
I don't even
Kia.
care.
Aw.
It's terrible.
It's very sad. And in another sense, it's actually kind of good for me because it's made me really sit back, gauge the activities. I don't need to do all the
Yeah.
things. Now I have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
And I also have to be like, it makes me do a pro and cons list. Like,
Yeah.
I want to do all these things, but what's going to be the most, what am I going to get the most out of? Who's going to, okay, anyway.
Yeah. Ever since I got pregnant,
This
and
stuff
ever
needs
since
to go
gas
away.
Prices have like skyrocketed. I've finally learned how to be like, if it's not an absolutely hell yes, then it's no,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
And I'm in a really weird place
Mm-hmm.
where people, buy me something. And I really even instinctively want to say, go ahead and save that. Give me a fucking gift card.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up. Give me a gift card. Oh, you want to give me some? No, I don't want no flowers. Give me a gas gift card.
Yes.
Okay, you want to thank me for something? This is not buying me food or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want the cards. Just put that money invested into a gas card that you will eventually give to me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the reality. Okay. I thought this was funny. I don't know if you could relate to this one. Go ahead and read it. Dating me is like...
I'm pretty sure I've said this at least 20 times.
So read the interactions.
10:35. I'm done being mad now. 10:47, which is unrealistic because I feel like at least by like 10:39 for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're taking too long, and now I'm pissed.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. That's exactly. I'm reading exactly. So yeah, 10:35. I'm done being mad now. Which would be like, see, that means we could talk.
Yeah.
Now you go ahead and tell, respond. And then the person, 10:47, you take it too long to reply. I'm mad again. Bye.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
Yes.
In my previous days, I remember thinking, here's me extending like the wave in the white flag. And motherfucker, you ain't gonna respond like you're better than me. Nope. Forget it. We're done.
And you
Because
ain't
then I
gonna
block your ass
respond
again.
like, nuh-uh.
I very, very much remember those days. And so now I just put my phone away. Just wait till the next day. It'll be okay, Bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. Who doesn't love SpongeBob?
I love SpongeBob. 9-year-old me rolling up to school with my event wristband still on to prove I did something cool yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
I lived for that.
Yeah.
When we would go on spring break for Wisconsin Dells,
Uh-huh.
wristband as long as it would last.
Uh-huh.
Until it was deteriorating. If
Girl, I
I went
still
to the
do that.
hospital,
Mhm.
if I went to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
they will last so much longer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, my mom would be like, Morgan, you have tan lines from last summer of that wristband.
Yeah.
Like, take it off. And I'd be like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I do that?
Mhm.
People are like, it starts conversation.
Yes.
It's interesting. I went and did something. She's like, you went to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why are you trying to show that off?
Well, and the truth is, too, I don't get out to do many fun things these
Yeah.
days. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm like, I should take this off right now, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend I forgot. Just go stay on so I can talk about it.
Oh, this thing right here?
Yeah.
That was so long ago.
Yeah. That was my weekend. What'd you do that weekend? That's right.
Right.
Nothing as cool as me. Okay. Okay, who is that? That's one of those
Kim
sisters.
Kardashian.
Okay.
When you're listening to someone's story and can't relate because you're not stupid.
So,
I've
Is-
been there.
yeah, how do you have what they call like a face that just automatically
The
shows?
resting bitch face?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do? Okay.
I do. And I've been told it so many times. People tell me, they're like, you're so intimidating. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I'm like perfectly happy. And they're like, you look pissed. And I'm just like, I'm just sitting here. I'm
Yeah.
bored.
Yes.
They're like, I feel like you're going to smack me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm not.
Yes.
Like, I'm not. I swear. I'm not a violent person.
It's a beautiful thing too, because like, it is great that I'm in this honest, way of life and truth and everything. It's really awkward when someone is saying something that I can't relate to. It's just so. It just seems like so small and simple, and like, are they confused about this? And I have to not show a face that they're really
Yeah.
stupid to me. Like, so maybe I'll ask a question, but yeah, it's really
yeah.
hard for me to not look like.
Try to find
Weirded out.
anything in common. Yeah.
Especially with recent conversations. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this was just words. So just tell me what you think.
True that.
Read it out loud.
Don't get sidetracked by people who ain't even on track. True freaking
Mic drop.
that.
Right?
True that.
And that is the reality.
Yeah.
And especially with people that I'm trying to support, whatever capacity that means, and they come at me with some things directed at me, because I'm finally in this place where I'm confident with who I'm at. I know where I'm at in my recovery. Like, I check in every night, And so when and like I said, there's a lot of anti-12 steppers. So when
Yeah.
they come at me with some stupid ass shit, sorry, I gotta stop cussing. I got really heated. But I'm like, what do you even do for your recovery? You're calling me out on some stuff.
Yeah.
You're not even a happy person. Like,
Right.
you project, you tell everybody that they're so wrong and they're doing this, they're calling them out on all this shit. Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
It's because they know they got a lot of their own shit that needs to be called out.
Yeah.
And they're distracting from their own
Stop
miserable
projecting.
self. Yes.
Stop projecting.
Exactly.
You're really good at it. I'm really good at it.
But I've just gotten to the point where I don't want to waste any of my energy on trying to help somebody. Okay, this is just funny. This is a little bottle of cologne.
Yep. a new fragrance for introverts. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah, yes.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah,
The fuck alone.
absolutely. I need that.
And do you feel like, I feel like for the most part you seem like extroverty,
Yeah.
but
I'm a very introverted
you need your introvert time, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's so easy for me to all of a sudden just be like, oh, shutting down. I'm done.
Yep.
Too much communication, too much socialization. I'm turtle.
Yes.
I'm done.
Yes.
I need to go home.
That'd be great if you could just whip out the spray to
Yes.
spray it.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be okay.
Yes.
It's like a bug spray for people that is in your face. That need
Yeah.
me time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And last one. Okay, this one I always try to have it be like a ooh mic drop. Okay, this one.
If your circle doesn't inspire you, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. Ooh.
Ooh.
Mic drop for sure.
Right?
That's a good one.
I think this one's powerful
Yeah.
because there's a lot of times I do need to step back and reassess my circles.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have an inner circle and then I have like another circle of recovery. But in reality, not everybody in recovery is supporting me. You know,
Yeah.
not everybody, is actually going to show up at the end of the day. And then I know when when I'm really struggling and things are going on, even my inner circle people, like, I could tell it's okay, they're human beings or whatever, but when stuff shows up, especially when you're touching on my core values or things that really matter to me in life,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I have to sit back and be like, I guess I'm not going to call anyone out. But when I feel that energy or that vibe that they're saying to my face, like, yeah, good for you. I'm so happy for you. But I don't see it. I don't feel it.
Yeah.
But then I find out later on, someone said, oh, she made this comment about whatever. I'm like, hater!
Done.
Like,
Done.
keep your enemies closer. And it's heartbreaking, especially when I've made a point, because I feel like my inner circle people, I'm there for you 100%. And I guess I should expect that back, but it's kind of like it's an unsaid thing. So when you go and break that trust, that like undying, I'll give you the shirt off of my back. I've given people money. I don't even fucking have money more. Like,
Yeah.
my rent is crazy, but someone needs, like they need a ride or whatever. So when I find out they're saying some bad things about me, it's heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
And then I gotta reassess my whole circle.
Yeah, because it's so easy to forget that, like, not everybody loves and supports and, like, really is there the way that you are sometimes. And, like, you can give your all into somebody for them to just not even care. And it's hard, and you're just like, dude, what? I would have literally laid down and let you walk all over me just to see you smile. And, like, you're gonna do me like this?
Right.
It's hard.
It sucks.
Sure.
But I don't let it, I feel like that's where those expectations, I don't apply those. So anything I do for someone, I never expect anything back.
Yeah.
But when you talk bad, your mouth starts putting out that negative whatever, then I'm like, that's when I get hurt. I never expect you to give me money back or do this for me. I never ask for anything usually. But when you're spreading bad shit about me, that's when I'm like, that's when I gotta cut you off forever.
Yeah.
Not forever,
Yeah.
but for a good while, because that is more poisonous. We just talked about this last week. Sticks and stones, they break your bones, but words don't even hurt you. Actually, words
Words do
can be
hurt.
very poisonous.
Words hurt.
Toxic. So yeah, do you feel like you got a good circle though? Would you say?
I do.
Okay, you got me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I got 5 kids, so I got a lot of good tips, pro mom tips. Let me tell you,
Absolutely.
I can just budget everything, coupon, and I got a lot of stuff that. But yeah, is there any? Let me go back to see if you got any last comments. Is there any final thoughts? Any things that you want to say? It looks like, the Facebook user said it's Amy. The other Facebook user said, laugh my ass off, my cousin Leon. Oh, Amy! I know Amy. Bad mouth shout out. So yeah, is there any final thoughts? Do you want to disclose the due date?
Yeah, the due date is August 10th, so I'm exactly
Woo!
a month away from my due date today.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I just prologue it. 3 days. This is just the baby will have my birthday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a Leo. It's gonna be fire.
Yes. A Leo baby.
You excited?
I am.
Do you feel like you have everything that you need?
For the most part,
Okay.
I think I'm pretty well prepared. I feel like I'm waiting for the nesting to kick in
Yes.
because my house is a disaster.
It's gonna be brutal too.
Yeah.
People know because you're gonna be nesting. They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And
You're
then-
like, it's almost baby time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'll put this out there because that was me. I was able to catch that year. I'd even get 18 months a couple times because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Because I did breastfeed for most of them. At that point, it was easy for me because that was my focus, like.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I noticed that breastfeeding time and that not using time got shorter and shorter with each one. And
Yeah.
literally, my last son, I didn't even breastfeed a month because I knew I wanted to go back out.
Oh yeah.
So do you have like a plan of attack? Do you have like a support system that's going to help with the baby? Because I guarantee you're going to want to get out.
Yeah. For sure.
And for your own recovery and your mental health.
For sure. Yeah. No, I have a lot of people who are willing to help with the baby. I just am like, I can
Okay.
already tell I'm very like mama bear, very overprotective. Like
Yeah.
my mom's like, we're gonna have X, Y, and Z over the day you get out of the hospital, and I'm like, back up.
Yeah.
I am not passing my newborn around.
COVID's
to
still real.
All of these people.
Yes.
The day that she comes out of me, I'm sorry. No.
Mhm.
No. The idea of like sharing her with people is very hard for
Yes,
me.
and
It
you
gives
do
me
not
really
have
bad
to.
Anxiety.
Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
So, yes, and you'll be loud about it. You'll be like,
Oh,
no, I need my baby time.
Oh yeah. Get out.
Okay.
Time to leave.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you for
gotta
having
say,
me on.
oh, absolutely. This whole conversation's like reminded me of all the reasons why I love you. I remember at Serenity Shores.
Yeah.
You came to a meeting and you were talking about that. You were sitting on the blanket and you were like, I just want to, you're just wonderful. And you're just like, women should not be, embarrassed or whatever, insecure about their bodies. They should love them. And I'm like, that's right, girl.
Yeah.
She's right. I'm going to wear a dress next week. I don't need to hide my body.
I love it.
This is so
I
wonderful.
love it.
So we'll continue to do you.
Thank
And just,
you.
you get, like I said, you give me hope.
Thank
And
you.
I love when you just put it all out there because it fires me up too because I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, we got to stand on it. And, okay. Morgan, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It has.
And listeners, I hope you have a great week. I hope you had a good weekend. I will check in with you next week. All right. Good night, everybody. I have this great inspirational music I play at the end. So
Perfect.
even if the show was maybe not inspirational, this music is as
There you go.
copyright free. It's called Returning